time and so forth, we'll hook you up with this guy here. But
Okay.
Sure.
but yeah, this is good. I mean, you guys know the history and all that stuff, right?
Yeah. Craig, tell Craig
A
everything.
little bit. I know some, but not all of it. Bob's, he's
And I'll
more.
listen.
So, you know, Carroll was a very accomplished race car driver
Right.
in the 1950s, won the 24 Hours of Le Mans, and, you know, but he was a champion, U.S. champion, 1960, and he had a heart condition. And the doctor said, you know, you can't keep driving with nitro pills under your tongue, so you got to give this up.
Okay.
So he did, and they said, well, you might have 5 years to live in 1960.
Oh, right. Okay.
So he lived 52 more years.
5 years, yeah. 10 times your lifespan, that works.
Yeah, so anyway, yeah, 5 years in 1960, so he should have probably died in 65 or 6, and he lasted till 2012. But, you know, heart transplant, kidney transplant, you know, those things help you. So, but anyway, he figured if he couldn't race them, maybe he'd build them. And he'd run into the AC car company over in England when he was traveling abroad and racing and so forth. And so, long story short, they had this little British sports car, aluminum body, chassis that was very well balanced, little 6-cylinder Bristol engine. And Carroll thought, well, if he could take that Bristol out, put a Ford V8 in it, I think it'd be quick. And it was.
But was it super lightweight? Is that why the
Super lightweight, yeah. So it was probably just a little over 2,000 pounds. A lot of them weighed about 2,200 pounds. And so with a small block Ford in it, it was very quickly competitive. In fact, they beat the Corvette guys with it.
Yeah.
So,
And that was the origin of the AC Cobra, the AC.
yeah, we call them Shelby Cobras. 'cause
Yeah. But AC
Carroll did
made the.
Carroll, yes, AC
car.
made the original car that Carroll started with.
Okay.
So the frame and the body for the small block car came from AC. The big block cars were actually, the chassis was designed by a Ford computer, and they just, you know, expanded on the body lines to put the bigger tires and stuff. And it was, instead of a 3-inch round tube frame and a leaf spring suspension like the small block cars, it ended up being, for the big block cars, a 4-inch round tube frame and adjustable coilover suspension. So they went on to beat the Corvettes, and that was actually fairly easy. So they, if you knew Carroll well, he was always on to the next one. So, you know, the next thing for him was to pick on the big dog, which was Enzo Ferrari.
Okay.
So they went over to Europe and they started racing. What they figured out was that the Cobras were very competitive on the short courses, but not on the long courses where you needed good top speed.
Can I video you while you tell this? I don't.
Sure.
Some people don't like to be on camera, so.
No, I'm fine. So, yeah, they went out and they figured out that, you know, competitive on the short tracks, but not on the long tracks. So Peter Brock, who worked for Carroll at the time, was also an automotive designer. In fact, Peter designed like what largely became the C3 Corvette with Bill Mitchell and those guys at GM before he went to work for Carroll. So Peter designed the Daytona Coupe, which was a much more sleek design, and it gave the car 25, 30 miles an hour more top speed.
Is that silvery one in the back?
Yeah, so it's a polished aluminum car.
Okay.
So that's a Daytona Coupe. And so then they went on to beat Ferrari and win the World Manufacturers Championship in 1960.
And is that the first time the Americans beat the Europeans ever? Is that
In world racing, yes.
in world racing?
Yeah,
right.
world, you know, as far as overall stuff, like at Le Mans and stuff.
It's
like
interesting that Daytona Coupe to me kind of almost looks like it has a bit of a Corvette shape to it a little bit, but the back has almost like a Nissan, like the older, like the Z cars from the 70s. How it's
Well,
curved.
see, if you remember though, then the Nissan would look like that.
Right.
Those
Because
came
that came first.
Right, that's what I'm saying. But they decided to use that flair
Sure.
of that body shape in the back.
It's like a
but,
camback.
but that long nose probably has to fit the engine, right?
Well, it's partly for that and partly for aero. And if you look at the airflow in the Daytona Coupe in the front end, air comes in through the nose and it exits out and over the hood.
Oh wow!
Okay, so if you look at the Daytona, let me take a walk back.
Oh my gosh, a personal tour. Look at that. We're getting to go behind the ropes, guys.
Up in.
Okay, yeah.
Going behind the ropes
Don't
with the big
touch.
man. No touches. Oh, I know better than to touch. But here, I'll let you lead.
So what we're looking at here is, if you look at the arrow on this car, air comes in through the nose right here,
Okay.
goes through the radiator, and then all of it exits.
Oh,
out.
right out over the top.